Archana Malhotra, your host, and I welcome you again to World Sparky Baat. Pre-COVID and post-COVID, how are businesses going to change? How are our lifestyles going to change? And how is our thought process going to change? We'll discuss all this and more today in your World Sparky Baat. For everyone, we'll throw open the discussion for questions from you as the session progresses. Do type in your questions. Today, we have with us two very interesting and accomplished personalities. She is a best-selling author, blogger, columnist, TV anchor, happiness and X Factor coach, founder of Women on Top Forum. Her first book, Women on Top of the Game, celebrates 100 women entrepreneurs and their inspiring stories and contributes to raise awareness about breast cancer worldwide. Her books, Love You Zindagi, Your Emotional G-Spot, and Shalini Says Women on Top of Their Game, the global edition, are all in process. And yes, she is Shalini Arora Kochhar. Shalini is recipient of multiple awards from leading organizations, Dr. Ambedkar National Award, Berlin Capital Club Women Entrepreneur of the Year Award, among others. Her perfume Gold of Shalini and her jewelry line, Saks Monaco, have showcased in all top fashion weeks and retail outlets in Europe. As a coach, she leads the X Factor sphere on the unique edutainment platform xzen.tv. Her mantra, I believe I can fly, I believe I can touch the sky, resonates in the universe. Welcome, Shalini.
Thank you so much, Archana. I was like getting a bit nervous. Is this all you're talking about me or some of it is Gulraj's?
Gulraj's is yet to start, but that was you, and I'm very happy to say all that, and amazing that you can do all that. So he is a business turnaround coach and a leadership coach, known for his breakthrough programs for top and middle management of companies across India, Europe and North America, and his one-on-one elite coaching program where he mentors and prepares business leaders and corporate executives to get into the high gear. He's the founder of Promise, India's largest life skills and leadership program for children. An ICF, Gallup Strengths and Marshall Goldsmith SEC coach, a DIS certified specialist and an NLP practitioner. He's been trained by some of the best in the world, including Jack Canfield, T. Harv Eker and Blair Singer. Born and brought up in Canada, he studied at the University of British Columbia. Yes, he is Gulraj Singh Shahpuri. Apart from awards from social organizations for his contribution towards betterment of society, in 2020 he was given the Kochhar Award for Best Business Coach and Mentor and the National Gratitude Award for Business Coaching. And yes, he is also Shalini's and my mentor. Welcome, Gulraj.
Thank you, Archana. It's an honor to be here with everyone.
It's an honor for me to host both of you here. So let's start. Shalini and Gulraj. Shalini, I'll address you first. Women on Top is a wonderful platform that works on women empowerment all over the world and among top industries. How did the idea originate and how does it help women entrepreneurs?
Archana, I'm going to start with the fact that women empowerment is a word which I kind of have stopped disagreeing with because I think that all of us women are empowered already. I think it is more to do with the fact of recognizing the power within, which is what I work for and which is what Women on Top represents. And Gulraj knows my love for stories, so I have to say the story. I can't just answer it with like a one-line answer. So, we've all heard the story of the eagle, and this is what it is. An eagle can actually, and I know that all of you here who are listening to me have heard it, but I'm going to repeat it for some that don't know, that an eagle can live 70 years. But when an eagle is 40, the talons cannot pick up the prey, the beak is bent, the feathers get old. So the choice is to die or to go up to the mountain, sit on the nest, break the beak, pull the talons out, pull each feather out, and then after that they can live again and they take the flight of rebirth, which is what, and then they can live 30 years after that, they say. So that is where the concept of Women on Top came from, my own experience, where at 40 I realized that it was time for a midlife reboot. And when I went looking for jobs, people didn't think that they could hire me again. They said, no, it's too late. You've missed, there's a gap in your career. So nothing was happening. That's when I said that there's a lot of people working for underprivileged, but there's nobody working for women like me who need a midlife reboot, who have the ability and the caliber, but don't have the platform. So I wanted to be that voice for those women, and that is what I do through the Women on Top Forum. I actually have introduced the concept of growing through interdependence, and it's a myth that women don't help each other. I think it's women that help each other, and that's what we do through the forum. So anybody who's looking at starting a career, who's looking for funding, who's looking for networking, who's looking for marketing, media, Women on Top provides all that for all the women. And I have now taken it global, and it is now a forum also based out of Monaco, which is also something I do now in Monaco. So that's what Women on Top.
That's amazing. And I personally know how well it functions and how many women have already gained a lot of mileage, and others have come to know about their businesses and business as well. So how do you plan to take it to the next level now? I'm in Monaco, and then?
So, it's actually, when you start, you dream, which is what I did. I dreamt it, then I hustled, I collaborated with people, and I tried to get this forum on the road. And today it's become a reality. So today I can actually proudly say that I'm an entrepreneur and I've actually made this a big thing. So we have a lot of plans in the pipeline, and we've actually now got a formal business plan there. So we've got a movie which is coming up now, which is going to be featured in the Cannes Film Festival and the Florence Film Festival. We're doing the Women on Top Awards, which is going to be a really big thing as well. So yes, it is going to go to the next level, slowly and steadily. Small baby steps have started happening.
And we're wishing it all the best. So we understand that you worked extensively on raising awareness about breast cancer worldwide. How have you been doing it, and what are the other ways you're giving back to the community?
Archana, this morning somebody sent me a very nice WhatsApp, which I'm sure all of you also must have got, because all these WhatsApps go viral. It's a Surf Excel ad, which said something to the effect of "Neki ki cha ho to neki ki raah hogi." So I'm probably not getting it right, but that's what it meant. And that's where this giving back story started in my life. When I was working full time and I would come back home at unearthly hours, and it was not working with the family. And I said, okay, fine, forget it. I can't do this full-time job. And I started doing, charity. And that's when I realized that my skill was people. My skill was to be able to raise funds for causes. So I don't go and do the groundwork, as in I don't go and work in the hospitals, etc. But what I do is raise funds for people like that. So I worked with NGOs like Festival of Hope, Salam Balak. I also did the launch for I'm Gurgaon when it launched here in Gurgaon, with Guild for Service, where we take care of widows. And Oprah Winfrey came and visited our NGO when she came to India. So I do PR, I do media, and I do fundraisers for these NGOs to get the money to them to be able to spend it wisely, which is how I've been helping charitable organizations.
And that's the correct way to help also, because once they get the funds, only then they can be of use. If they don't get the funds, what's the point?
You can say won't work. Too. I know that you do that too. So this is absolutely the way we can have it done.
Everybody has to do their bit, right? So you are simultaneously co-authoring 4 books apart from your perfume and jewelry line, and a variety of other areas that we were just talking about. How do you manage all of it, and how did the interest evolve in writing books?
The interest, I'll answer the second question first. The interest evolved from Facebook statuses. It's really funny, but that's my story. When Facebook started, I would love putting statuses, because finally I had somebody I had a voice, somebody would read and somebody would like, and those likes were my, endorphins and dopamine in the morning, and I was really happy about it. For the fact that I could not write in school to save my life. I never knew my commas and my full stops. So suddenly people saying, oh my God, you write so well. I was like, oh, I didn't even know this about me, which is how writing came about. And thank God for me not knowing the full stops and the commas. Today's world, emoticons work, so I get by. And I do have to use editors for my books for the full stops and commas, but I think my wit is intact. So I enjoy writing, and it's been a lot of fun writing sitting by the seaside with a glass of rosé. So I don't understand people that say they need to go to the Himalayas to find themselves. I found myself on a beach with a glass of rosé, which is where I started writing. So that's where that came from. And your first question again was, Archana?
So a variety of other areas that you're involved in. How do you manage all of it?
So my jewelry, initially when I started, I used to design jewelry, sit with the artisans, and I used to work hands-on until I found the easy way out of reworking with jewelry. So now I do that because the important part is to get it across to Europe and to be able to showcase in fashion weeks and also retail out of Europe. So I've cut down this part of it. However, I still provide employment to a lot of artisans, and I contribute to the Make in India project through doing that. And my perfume, I've done the whole testing, smelling, put this, put that together. Now it's just got to go into production. So I'm able to do quite a few things simultaneously, and I love it. It's my passion for it. So that's what keeps me.
You're using all your senses, the smell and the touch and everything. And I can see that you're an excellent package of beauty, brains, and glamour and everything. You don't need the commas and the full stops. Just go move. Just keep moving. So... Okay, you are a happiness and an X Factor coach. What exactly is X Factor coaching?
Okay, good question. Gulraj, do you want to help me or should I just do this myself?
So it's the charisma part that I think you want to tell people about.
So basically they say don't judge the book by the cover, don't judge the movie by the trailer, which is not true. We have to put our best foot forward. And this started in my life very early when I went for the Miss India, because they beat you into shape, they groom you into shape. The way you talk, the way you conduct yourself, the way you carry yourself. And I think the biggest thing being how to stand out while blending in. I always like to belong, yet I always like to have that unique thing that people remember me for. And I think each one of us has that. But we just don't hone it. So that is what X Factor is for me, to help you as a coach recognize that thing which is unique about you and for you to use it to your benefit, which is what X Factor actually stands for. And I'm a lead coach with a platform globally, which is called xzen.tv. So I lead their X Factor coaching in that forum.
Awesome. So Gulraj,
yes,
you're known in the industry as a business turnaround coach. I'm sure a lot of businessmen in these times of uncertainty are approaching you now.
Yeah.
What's your advice to them?
There is a lot of uncertainty, and I don't have all the answers, but I have a few things to tell them. Number one, I keep telling people, look, be clear with your staff. Leaders have to stop telling people that it's a fluid situation and let's wait for some clarity. Give your teams the clarity. We are all bright enough to see the trends. We know how things are going to be. If people just look at themselves and look at the worst case scenario, let's say 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, we know these windows, and prepare themselves for the worst case scenario and keep your staff informed. That's super important because, all bad news needs to travel. And entrepreneurs and leaders have to realize you really don't have that much to lose. If you think you have a lot to lose and your best people will get scared and leave, well, where are they going? Because they're not going anywhere. They're going to stay put because people have no choice and people are expecting bad news. So when people don't give their staff the bad news and instead they give it in small doses, I think we confuse our people. So that's the first thing. Also, people have to realize, number two, is that payroll is usually our biggest expense. If money isn't coming in, you're not liable to keep paying it out forever. And people say, but as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, you were expected to take on that additional risk. That's why you get the big upside. Well, there isn't always that big upside. In fact, people end up burning through a lot of assets in this time. And they didn't really always build those assets from the business, but the staff expects them to burn through all their assets to keep everybody going. I think people need to set that expectation now. And they need to make people understand, everybody needs to be very clear that, look, this can't go on forever. And I feel bad for people, and I feel really bad for especially the Gen Z people, the gig economy. for the last 2-3 years, we've been hearing all this trend that it's the gig economy is where it's at, and people are going to be smart enough that they don't commit to one employer. They're going to commit to many employers, and people are going to be able to hire people like Uber drivers or people that do social media for people. The gig economy has been the worst hit in many ways because all these Gen Z people, well, they don't really have anybody to turn to right now because I have a large office staff and I'm keeping them all employed, even though I've told them the bad news and wages are coming down a little bit by little bit every month. But the Gen Z people were the first to go because really I had nothing to owe to them. So that was one. The third thing is understand the situation. We are in the present COVID situation. And then there's going to be a post-COVID situation. And the present COVID situation isn't going to end when Prime Minister Modi says that, okay, everybody can go back to work now. The present COVID situation is going to not end till probably January 2021 or as late as July 2021. It's going to end pretty much 10 to 16 months from about a month ago when they got really bad. And we have to realize that in the present situation, we have to understand supply and demand. You cannot be obsessed. I keep telling business people this, you cannot be obsessed on the supply side because where is the demand? I mean, I have actually 3 clients who are large exporters. One of them owns 7 factories in Noida. Now his exclusive client or pretty much exclusive client is Zara. And Zara's parent company, everybody knows, is a very well-funded company. They're not going to go bankrupt anytime soon. But consumer demand will change for Zara. And now 2-3 days ago, we heard this news that local shops can open up in neighborhood areas, but malls cannot. Even if malls do open up, who's going to them? Because you see, because of social distancing, we are not going to be able to go to social gatherings anytime soon. We're not going out in many places. We're not getting dressed up. We'll make do with our clothes. We don't need to go to the mall to go through new clothing cycles and things. We're barely wearing anything we have. So consumer demand will change tremendously, and the habits, people ask about demand in shopping. Yes, malls will go down and online shopping will go up, but that's proportionate to each other. But as a whole, general consumption is going to go down. So we have to be very mindful of that. And as a side note, if you're holding on to a lot of stocks for real estate and commercial and retail infra, I would start shorting them because I don't see that future picking up anytime soon. Now, the last bit of advice I tell the business world is that the present and the future job place, it's going to be uncertain, and leaders need to bring that certainty. Like for instance, we were talking about consumer trends. There's going to be temporary consumer trend changes and there's going to be permanent consumer trend changes. And we all have to realize our wallet sizes are going to change after this. In the post-COVID, which is going to be July 2021 onwards, the wallet size will have changed and so will the share of each thing, how we splice everything in the wallet. Those things will have changed. So things like large vacation spending and just general large ticket spending, that will have changed, and a lot more spending patterns will be geared towards education and higher learning and things, because in a time like this, like you've seen it for eons now in Singapore and in Canada, where people just keep educating themselves because the job markets there isn't a lot of abundant jobs there. So you're going to see a lot of recollaboration of minds like that. So I think Archana, that's the long answer to a short question.
No, that's an amazing answer and a very, very, it gives us a lot of insight into a lot of things.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if we want to shortchange and sell our properties now, who's going to buy? Or the fact that, the problems are just going to start as everything opens up. We are just sitting down and thinking about them right now.
Yeah, it's true.
Once,
it's like anybody who slips and falls is going to be very careful each time they put a new step anywhere, right? Like, last year or a year and a half ago when I fell and I broke 5 bones. Now, anytime I even go on a small walk or even when I roll out of bed every morning, I'm very careful where I put my feet. And I think that is going to be for the long term. Not anytime soon.
And then I'm sure you've learned that lesson that you should listen to me, but that's another story we'll discuss with everybody later.
Archana told me to not go on that hiking trip where I broke everything.
Yeah. I pulled you back. Anyway, so is work from home here to stay? And how do you get over the challenges of it, such as technology, decreased productivity, and staff motivation?
Oh, you have asked the right person because I have a lot of thoughts on that. It's like the rubber band analogy. You pick up a rubber band and when you stretch it, like right now we're at the stretch of the rubber band, and then when you put it down on the table, it's never going to be the same size as it was when you started with, right? And that's going to be the post-corona time. Now, even naysayers like me, I was a huge skeptic. I'm generally a skeptic of everything, basically. I was a huge skeptic of work from home. And even people like me adopted very, very quickly because, I used to hear all these case studies and industrial psychologists talking about different trials at JLL and Yahoo and everybody, when they were working from home. And then it wasn't really as effective as one thought it would be. But I saw the lockdown coming about a week before it actually happened. And I knew it was going to be a complete shutdown. So I advised all my clients that this is going to be the reality. Don't think I'm bluffing. And even in my own office, we started working from home about a week before the lockdown happened. Now, some of the challenges that people are going to face in the post-corona area, because what does work from home actually mean in post-corona? There will not be as much business travel. That's the one thing. And we all know that because, the barriers to communication that people thought that exist over these telecommuting, well, we're getting so used to them that they don't feel significant anymore. And honestly speaking, I feel so close to each of you right now because I feel face to face. But if I had to fly halfway across the world and give a speech in an auditorium, well, I would actually feel farther than with those people than I feel right now. I feel pretty close. Now, it also means that people can now people who couldn't make a commitment to me now can actually, because there's a lot of people that said, I can't go for a full-time job because I have to balance my home life and my work life. Well, those people can now actually start getting into the workforce. Disabled people, they can start getting into the workforce because there isn't a lot of expectation now that everybody has to come to work. And people like me, whereas I had one assistant who was getting paid a lot of money, now I can actually have two virtual assistants instead of one real assistant. So that's going to be it. And now, Archana, the second part was you spoke of challenges. I think that one of the biggest challenges is going to be our own organization skills, because we have to be quite efficient as leaders, as bosses, on our part, because हमेशा कहते हैं ना, हमें हमेशा बाकियों से तेज भागना पड़ेगा. We have to be very efficient in the way we govern ourselves, and then we also have to have employees that are pretty good at work from home in governing themselves, because I do know this, that even in my own staff, there's a lot of people who are cutting corners. I know they're napping in the middle of the day, and I know there's a lot of people who are actually not, and they're very conscientious. So we're all going to have to be mindful of hiring conscientious people, and there's enough tests for that as well. And lastly, you said about the problems we talked. I'm going to talk about motivation.
Yeah.
Because daily motivation is the key. And a lot of people, a lot of bosses need to start to have morning and evening meetings on Zoom calls, just like we're doing right now, and get a lot of people on these Zoom calls that they otherwise wouldn't have been talking to, because the leader has to motivate. And I'm going to ask everybody a question. Maybe I can see a show of hands for the few people who are on video. But would you agree with me that happy workers equal productive workers? Would you agree with me? Yeah. Okay, well, honestly, the data say otherwise. The coefficient of correlation is actually low between happy people being productive people, and the other way around is actually much higher. Productive people are happier people, and if as bosses, we can find ways to keep people pretty productive and help people who are actually habitual in cutting corners and making excuses and stuff like that, if we can help them not do those things, eventually they start going to sleep feeling pretty happy. They feel that, job well done. I did a lot for my company. Otherwise, if they cut corners, they'll be happy day 1, day 2, day 3. But after a while, they'll start actually firing themselves. They'll start to feel ashamed and guilty. And when you relieve them, they're going to thank you for it. So we have to use technologies such as Calendarly, like Time Doctor, like a lot of these technologies to keep a check on people. So that's to your point, yes, it'll be easy and tough. So self-discipline is going to be the order of the day, starting from the leader herself. Starting from the
and but I have one point. What about staff motivation, trainings, camaraderie, activities? That motivate them just by being with each other. It's the same like we are thinking of colleges today, because online learning vis-a-vis going to the classroom, labs, everything makes a difference. So what about that point?
Well, this is the new normal. This is the new normal. And this COVID situation isn't a permanent situation, by the way. There are going to be people that are going to be happier working from home. There will be people that would want to check into the office once in a while. So that's why I go back to what I was saying is, look, Zoom, if anybody knows the history of Zoom was a video built up technology, whereas Zoom's creator was working for WebEx and he basically created WebEx for them. And then Cisco bought it over, and that was Skype was a voice first technology. Zoom was a video first technology because he knew that the trend is video. So we have to be very mindful that, look, get people on video as much as you can. People feel included, and a lot of offices, they're having lunch on video as well. So that's pretty important. So get in those people that are working from home, get in the people who are in the office. Everybody gets on a video call all the time. I think people are going to be pretty happy.
So Gulraj, sorry, Archana, I think I'll share our experience. So we are a team of 140. So the day, like it was 23rd of March, I do remember, that was the first day of lockdown. So what we tried to do was we bring in discipline in the overall organization. So what we decided as a team, and we had a video call over Microsoft Teams, not Zoom, because Zoom is paid and Teams is free. So we said each of the teams would actually have various breakout or Teams sessions, and so everybody in the team joins the call together, like at 10 o'clock. Everybody is in the call. If one has to go for a tea break or a sutta break, they inform that I'm away for next 5 minutes or 10 minutes, so that everybody is aware. Lunch break for the team is together again, 1:30 to 2:15 or 2:30 to whatever time. So then we've had music sessions, we've had quizzes as well to keep the motivation. We've had trainings as well for the entire company, and a new discipline which has come into being, right? Of course, we are a tech company. What we've also seen is productivity has actually increased 50%.
Wow.
So that's a big plus. But anyway, this is your show. I'll maybe sometimes talk about this specifically to you. All right.
So Archana, even I have a comment to make out here.
Please, Rajiv.
Yeah, I quite agree with what Gulraj is saying, that the definition of new normal is going to change. And when it comes to working from home and travel, etc., at least, earlier you used to see people in offices taking vacations so that they could travel. Now you'll see people who are working from home taking vacation so that they could go and stay in office.
Rajiv, a virtual hug for you.
My husband is still kind of stirred.
James just commented, typical Rajiv. So, anybody, any other questions from anybody? Okay, Rakesh ji has one or two questions. Now that we've taken a break in between, let me ask you, Gulraj.
Yeah.
Rakesh ji wants to ask, do you think the future belongs to small businesses or large businesses?
Everybody has their place. That's not going to change much. Honestly, I'll tell you what is going to change is that in small businesses, many people are ready to jump ship, because a smaller business, by the nature of it, is more agile, and a larger business cannot just throw in the towel that easily. And I think that people in large businesses that are especially dealing with tourism, travel, event planning, glamour, photography, retail, infra, those businesses are going to be in trouble whether they're small or big. So us cheez ka itna farak nahi padega whether it's a small or big. And I think the businesses, that industries I would like to be in would be industries like supply chain, healthcare, environment. Oh, James and Tanya are here. So environment and renewable energy. I'm so jealous of you two, James and Tanya. You guys are in the right place. Online education, whether big or small, insurance, big or small, telecom, usually it's big. And it's
online gaming.
Online gaming, I'm not going to comment on because I've juari logo ke saath main agree nahi karta hu.
Acha, theek hai.
There are many trends that are going to change, and we honestly have no idea. And if somebody says that, Gulraj, I'm pretty good at predicting the future, you're a better man than me, because I don't know. But what I will say is, don't jump ship, don't jump into markets and rush for opportunities. Always go for related diversification. Otherwise, just be an investor, go and buy their stocks because don't just get into something to be a Me Too player. If you're going to jump ship, just make sure you have a strong competitive advantage, because right now startups have competitive advantages and they're going to come in and they're going to actually disrupt small and big business coming in the few months.
So basically it's going to be survival of the fittest, right?
Well, I love Darwin, honestly, but I think it was Darwin who said it's not the strongest who is going to survive, and it's not the most intelligent, but it's the most adaptable. And I think adaptability comes from reducing your operating expenses, being realistic about increments, being realistic about cutting wages, being realistic about cutting people. Adaptability comes from realizing that lower priced goods are going to be more in demand, and luxury services and luxury goods are going to be hardest hit. Like if you take a look at Apple just released their iPhone SE, for those of you who know. It came out 2 days ago. They priced it at $399. Now, the inside news is Apple was actually going to price that phone anywhere between $550 and $600, because Apple did not want to compete with the lower rung. But now Apple is happy to compete in that, because Apple also knows that because people are going to be holding on to dear money a lot more in the coming few years, you could even say, Apple doesn't want to give that lower segment of the market away. Like if my iPhone is dying and I don't want to spend $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 on a new phone like Shalini would go and spend, I'm going to actually want to say, well, let me consider the Android options that are usually a little bit cheaper. Now, if at a $400 price range, I can buy an Apple that is a brand new Apple with all the brand new features, except it looks like an older Apple, I would say, let me stay in the Apple ecosystem. So Apple has understood that psyche, and immediately they took a call. They understood Corona, they adapted very quickly. And then, when the days get good again, Apple is going to say, well, you know what, we still kept those people in our ecosystem. Now everybody's making a lot of money, so let's get them back to the more expensive phones, and they're going to figure out a way. Basically, it's the cowards never started, but the weak will die along the way. And the problem we're going to see is that, and I fear the bigger problem, is that people who want to adapt quickly are not going to be able to sometimes, because in their industry, people are going to cut costs very quickly. And people that wanted to leave the market in the last 1 year, 2 years, that were just basically just saying कि चलो थोड़े दिन और करके देखते हैं. Now, those people are actually going to want to leave very badly in this Corona time, but they have inventories, they have stock, they have to liquidate that stuff. And for the people, and I always suggest to people, look, stay in the game, don't leave the game. But people that were going to leave the game, they're going to make it very hard for you to stay in the game. So be very mindful of that, because they're going to drop their prices, they're going to start selling things at a loss just on their way out, and they're going to make the market very hard for you. So adaptability is what the doctor ordered, but it's not easy. It's not going to be easy, and you're going to have deep pockets if you're going to be able to survive it. So,
good point, Gulraj. So one question from Rakesh ji, and then I ask you the next question. Do you think 3D technology will make the conferencing more acceptable?
I think so. I think it'll be very scary, because when 3D comes, then virtualization, this whole virtual world will also start to make a lot more sense. And I fear what Elon Musk feared a couple of years ago, that he said that probably in a few years, we're all going to just be lying on our recliners, plugged into something like they have in the Matrix, and we're going to live in these 3D worlds, and we're not going to have any need. And the only jobs that are going to be outside the 3D world are those programmers and people that are going to have to come and feed you so that you don't die away on those chairs. So I think it's going to be happening, but I hope not anytime soon. But
Okay, we are not talking about dying, and we are talking about life and life skills. This last question before we move on to your book. So Promise is one of India's largest life skills and leadership program for children that you started over 10 years back. Please share and tell us all about Promise.
Well, I can't tell you all about it because I no longer own the company. I have a very small part of it. To buy my own time and happiness, one day I actually got out of Promise. I made an exit strategy, and now it's run and owned by the people who work in the company. I own a very small part of it. I only take care of strategy and the the quality. But Promise was mine and my wife's dream when we migrated to India in 2002. Actually, we came here for just a year, but we decided to stay because we wanted to start Promise, which is basically success and leadership for children. And our goal was 25,000 kids. We're going to make a dent. You know, like anybody who's young in those days, you're that starry-eyed NRI that says, "Main to duniya badal dunga." So we wanted to change the world. And what happened is we set a goal for 25,000 kids. And with the grace of God, I exited Promise when it was more than 2 lakh kids a year were being impacted by it. So it still runs very well. On a longer talk, maybe I'll define why we did it and things like that. But it's going on well, and life skills and leadership for kids, but it's mostly outside Delhi, honestly, so it doesn't really impact the kids of Delhi much.
Nevertheless, it's impacting kids, and that's awesome. And now your book, Love You Zindagi, Shals and Gulraj. It's a beautiful name, and I loved it right from the day go. Shalini, I know this book and title are very, very close to your heart. Now you tell us what it is all about. I hope she hasn't slept off.
No.
Gulraj, you spoke too much, I guess.
No, Rakesh had put the mute on. He said, Shalini, don't talk in the middle. Right?
No, I didn't do it. I unmuted you.
Thanks, Archana. Gulraj, that was really, really awesome. That's why you're Guru Gulraj, and that's why we listen to you. Archana, you're absolutely right, because you know exactly where the title would have come from, because you spend enough time with me, and you know that we're on World Spa Ki Baat, and World Spa has been a true value add in my life. And like they say, it takes a community to bring up a child. It's taken the community to make me who I am, because all of you have added some amazing value to my life, which is you, Rajiv, Amri, Tanya, all on this story right now. Sonal, Gulraj, of course, your Guru Gulraj. But this title, and a lot of people who know me here will know, Gulraj came with these amazing, fancy coaching titles, which were just perfect. If we put that book out there on any of the stores, it would be like a bestseller in a second. But my love for Shah Rukh took me to Love You Zindagi, and that's why the book is called Love You Zindagi, because of my love for Shah Rukh. And he said, okay, we go with your name. So that is Love You Zindagi. Gulraj, I'm going to let you talk more about the book.
No, Archana, I have nothing to do with the title, so Archana, next.
I know, but the next question is for you, Gulraj. Successful people don't have time, they make time. I understand this is a chapter in your book, and it's true. You know, people especially now feel guilty about not doing enough. Well, I'll not say I'm guilty to that, but anyway, how do you think can some of us change that?
You know, I feel so sad that there's life coaches that are saying to people, relax karo, ye karo, wo karo. Even J.K. Rowling's, the Harry Potter author, she said that, I don't know why people are working so hard in COVID. Everybody needs to just relax and nobody should do anything. I think that's wrong, because, you know, I think it's unethical that at any given time, if we are not producing as much as we can, I think society as a whole is worse off. And because who's going to pay the taxes? Who's going to build the roads? Who's going to finance the government schools? I think we need to all work pretty hard, or as hard as we want to work. I don't say kill yourself. I say that, if I was normally getting up at 5 o'clock, now I get up at 6 o'clock. If normally I was sleeping at 10 o'clock, now I'm sleeping at 11 o'clock. But have a structured format, get as much done in any given day, and then make time for all those important things. And everybody had that list of things that they said, you know, if I had time, I swear I would have been working on these things. Well, you know what? In my mind, I teach time management, and I teach time management to some very senior people, but I honestly don't believe as much in time management than I preach. I believe actually in calendar management. If we just put something in the calendar, we all use Outlook or some type of calendars. If we put things in the calendar that 1 ghanta maine ye cheez karni hai, like Shalini and I writing a book, 1 ghanta of this, from 2 to 3, I'm going to leave everything, I'm going to do this. From 3 to 4, from 5 to 6, I'm going to be in the kitchen from 6 to 7. Or, you know, if we just commit to our calendars and stick to them, we're going to get a whole lot done. And I think it's as simple as that. And don't binge watch shows, guys. I don't know why people are going from one series to another. I think there's more to life. I think all those people at Amazon and Netflix, they're all laughing to the bank and on our expense. Hame sare shows yaad ho jayenge. I think
on what Gulraj is saying, if you don't control how you spend your time, you won't have any time left. And it's very important. And I think the first hour of your day determines the rest of your day. So most of the people, when they wake up and they pick up their phone, and now there's no end to the WhatsApp messages and the videos. If you start watching all those videos and reading those messages, trust me, half your day can be gone just doing that. So calendar, like he said, is very, very important. And that is why time management is of prime importance if you want to get the best out of your day.
And another thing, actually, I'll just add one closing.
Shalini, I want to add, we believe you on the phone news, definitely.
Archana,
and we're going to listen to you on that.
I don't want to butt in, but an advice for everybody, and who am I to preach to everybody, but because if the first thing you're doing is checking your phone every morning, I think there's something very wrong in this situation. If the first thing is that you meet your family, you make your own bed, and then you make your calendar, and then you check your phone, then you check your WhatsApps and emails, I think you're going to be a lot more focused to your life's goals than to everybody else's entertaining WhatsApps. So,
Gulraj, I'll remember that. So the next, surround yourself with the right people. What can one do in this lockdown to not feel isolated? James, are you listening?
Shalini, you take this one.
So we are the average of the 5 people that we hang out with, and I've actually given this homework to my children as well, because it's very important to communicate and stay connected. And like I was doing a show yesterday with a mental wellness coach, and she said that the reason the children are spending so much time on the internet or doing online dating or whatever that they're doing, we can't even control it anymore because we can't tell them to go outside and play, right? Is because of the fact that the parents are not sitting and planning activities with them. Archana, I loved your video that you posted on LinkedIn yesterday about particularly doing activities with your children. So I have a lot of those activities that I've planned with my family, and a lot of my clients are doing that. And I've given my children this homework that you cannot be a part of the WhatsApp university. You have to find one person that you will talk to every day, and you have to do it with a reason in mind. Because this person is an interesting person to talk to. This person is a funny person to talk to. This person motivates me, so I want to talk to this person. Everybody has something unique. So find that unique, because if we surround ourselves with people that add value to our life, we will become those people. And that's why clearly I hang out with all the right people here, right? Gulraj, I do want you to say some more on this.
I completely 100.0, I agree with you, Shalini. I have a system, I call it my friends and relative calling system. Okay, Rose, in the morning I'll call 2 people, and in the evening I'll call 2 people. And I have a list, and I go through it, and I strike people's names off. I think that's helping me reach out to a lot of people, so mentally we can remain sane like that. And I did it before COVID, but in COVID I've doubled how many calls I make a day. I think that keeps me surrounded with the right people. And I love watching your program every day, Rakesh and Archana. This helps me surrounded with the right people. So this is really cool too. Thanks for doing this program.
Thank you, Gulraj. So guys, what is the power of karma?
I'll start with that, Shal. I'll tell you, karma is that मैंने कुछ अच्छे कर्म किए होंगे, because I remember when Shalini and we wound up on the same floor in World Spa. So we moved to World Spa, and the rumor has it that we picked this apartment to be opposite of Shalini, but that was just chance and good luck, I guess. So we ran into each other, we became friends, and this whole concept of Love You Zindagi and writing together and coaching together came out. But I don't think anybody here knows it except for Shalini, that Shalini and we used to live pretty much on the same street in GK2. And for years, we used to live literally on the right street, and we never saw each other. So I think, they say that you cross paths for a reason. I think God tried to make that happen, but we never bumped into each other because she was probably partying all the time and I was always walking my dog. But then when we moved here, then we couldn't avoid it, because if she opened her door, then we were right in front of her. So I think that's karma to me. Shalini, what do you think?
I have to step out of being a coach for a minute and just be human, Since the time I started believing in the power of karma, I don't get angry or upset with anybody anymore, because I believe in the power of karma. I say, okay, let this person do whatever he or she is doing. Let karma do the needful, right? So that for me is karma, and I don't get upset at all with anybody anymore.
And what's the message you both want to convey with this book?
I'll let you take this one, then I'll tell people what I have in mind.
So, my short answer would be that we want to make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. But my long answer would be that वो स्कूल में दो तरह के बच्चे होते हैं. एक वो होते हैं जो बहुत इंटेलिजेंट होते हैं, उनको किताब दे दो, पूरी किताब फ्रंट टू बैक पढ़ लेते हैं और जाके एग्जाम लेते हैं. और एक वो बच्चे होते हैं मेरे जैसे जो बहुत स्मार्ट होते हैं, कहते हैं मुझे कुंजी दे दो, मैं ये भर के एग्जाम ले लूंगी. So for me, I think Love You Zindagi is going to be that book, which we all tend to forget, that the things, if very simple changes, very simple things, if we follow that in our life, we can actually excel at anything that we do in life. And Gulraj has all the technicalities and the scientific research in the book, so it's all justified. I have the fun part of it where I tell you how it's a funny story and how you can put it into your life and how you can change your life in 21 days. So it is that kunji as far as I'm concerned. Just keep it with you. It's mind hacks. It'll change your life. So that's a message to everybody, that you can change your life if you decide to transform yourself. On to you, Gulraj.
For me, it was the mission that we had set for the book, which was the Love Your Zindagi project, had to be this approach of changing your existence. First, that preparation stage, when you identify what brings you joy and satisfaction and engagement, and also what brings you things like guilt and anger and boredom and even remorse. And then second is making of the resolutions, when you identify the concrete actions that will boost your happiness. And then comes the interesting part, is keeping those resolutions, because this is a story I once told Shalini a long time ago, when King Solomon of Israel, who is thought to be King David's son, as the biblical story goes, when he brought together because he was known as Solomon the Wise, and he said that, being a wise emperor, I want everybody in my kingdom to be successful. So, and by the way, Solomon was that emperor, if you remember, that one who said, okay, I'll cut this baby in half, because those two women were fighting over that baby, mera bacha. And when he said, I'll cut this baby in half, and each one can take half, and then one said, oh, you can give it to her, and he said, oh, it's your baby. So that was King Solomon, for those of you who can't recall. So when he sent out for all the wise men of his kingdom to come to his court and tell him that how do we make that common person the most successful person, they said, sire, give us 6 months and we'll come back to you. And in 6 months, they came with volumes of books. And he said, no, the common man can't read all these books. And then they said, okay, we'll come back to you. And then they came back with 2 thick books. And he said, no, the common man can't read 2 thick books. And then they came back with 1 book. And then they came back with 1 essay. And then they came back with a paragraph. And then finally, each time the king sent them away, they came back with less and less. And then they came back with just 1 line. And that 1 line, when they presented to the king said, yes, if the common man does this, then the common man will be successful. And I hope everybody wants to know what that 1 line said. So the 1 line said, just do what you resolve to do. Just do what you say you will do. So the book is about, you make a game plan for 21 days and just stick to it with the techniques that we teach you. And if you just stick to it, at the end of 3 months, koi aapko pehchan nahi payega. You're going to be 250% of a different person, and people will say, my God, what happened? And it's about just tiny changes, just adding up and multiplying. That's what it means to me.
Rakesh is asking, when is the book going to be released?
Shalini, that's up to you.
So inshallah, as soon as the lockdown is over, we are going to put it into publishing. So it should be about a month from then.
Shalini, how do you feel will lifestyles change post-COVID?
I think the amount of anxiety and fear that has been created in these circumstances, the events are not going to happen. So the business that I'm in is going to be, doomed for this year for sure. I don't think anybody wants to take the chances because you're not going to get the attendance. So I think people are going to change their lifestyle. And also the women that thought that they could not have a life beyond, going out to lunches and to parties and to events, their mindset has changed. Now they realize that spending time in the family is so much more important. Like even to schedule a Zoom call and say, okay, you want to do this, a woman will turn around and say, no, I have to cook at that time. Or I have to, watch Netflix with my daughter. So already the lifestyle of people has changed. And I think we've gone back to the basics. People are going to carry forward the learnings from this crisis. I think it's been an opportunity for families, and it's going to change lifestyle in that fashion for sure. And the business, of course, Gulraj is the one to advise on the business. Personal, this is what is the future.
On the business end, I think I've told everybody probably twice over how things are going to change. But, I think if there's a silver lining to this whole bad COVID situation is what Shalini said, that family time, face-to-face communication time, a lot more video time with each other, valuing relationships, valuing one's own health. Now, aajkal aap dekho, I'm so excited today because mom has been wise enough to now give me and our towers the ability to walk around at 6 o'clock today. So right after this, you're going to see me outside.
So we have to start with this walk.
We're going to value these things a lot more.
I know. As well as gratitude for everything.
Yes.
Along with value. So how do you feel that each one of us can be happier, especially in these lockdown times? Shals, and yeah.
You should answer that. You're the happiness coach. You should answer that.
Archana, you should answer.
No, you are the happiness coach. I want your answers.
Well, very honestly, I think I found a lot of soul stirrers in this time of lockdown. And I think soul stirrers is something which makes us what we are. So I have started, Anuradha is watching. So Anuradha, I actually sing now. I sit at home and I sing and I love it. And you must be hearing me as well because I'm loud. I sit at the balcony. So I sing, I paint. I have utilized a lot of time in decluttering my life. So like we said that, the people that I've surrounded myself with are all adding value to my life. I'm actually pursuing a course from Yale at this present moment and in the process of writing, doing a course with Cornell as well. So I think that if you were to do things that you don't need an alarm to wake you up. I'm excited about my passion and I wake up for that. So I think that's what makes me happy. And of course, family. My God, I'm in love with them. I can't even believe they're such amazing people. I'm spending time with them.
I think for me, I've learned the skill I thought I never would. I've become quite a good cook. I've sent some of you some of my dishes. And if anybody wants the recipe to the best veg chop suey, American chop suey ever, I can send it to you. And I can even make it for you if you want. The ingredients based. Now, the other thing is that I never thought that I had the ability to overcome some of my fears. And one of my biggest fear was doing what Shalini does so awesome, that she is really good at hosting and she's really good at just picking up the mic and being an MC to any program. And so I took a personal challenge and I started a YouTube live every single day. It went on for 24 episodes. It was on 5 channels, 2 YouTube channels and 3 Facebook channels every single day. And the post views had gone up to even 20,000 per episode. And I thought that was a skill beyond me. But I'm happy to say that I was able to nail that. So I'm feeling, kande upar ho jate hain, aisi cheezein karke na, you feel that, I think I could have done it. So I think those things really.
If I was your inspiration and this is what you're doing, then you're my inspiration. I have to become a better coach than you.
You're trying.
So basically, it's a state of mind, and for each one, it's going to be different. Depends what you take happiness from and what journey you want to travel on.
Yeah.
So, there is one or two questions which I shall quickly ask. Vinish is asking you, Shals, the Vinish Baba.
Okay.
Not your Vinisha.
I was like, what happened to you, honey? Just ask me direct.
So, lifestyle, business, and happiness coach. What has this COVID situation taught you?
This, it's not a nice thing to say, but the COVID situation has definitely given me a lot more clients because I've realized that, we all thrive on relationships. What makes us happy, and even research says, that what makes us happy is our relationships and our family. And unfortunately, a lot of people are isolated or they believe they're isolated because of this situation. So I have learned that family first, friends are important, relationships is important, because money and all the bags that I own and all the fancy clothes that I own in Monte Carlo are not there. I'm going to actually share this as a really funny story. And probably everybody's going to laugh at me, but when I'm very good at this, when in Rome, do the Romans kind of a story. And I moved to Monaco and everybody over there would, put these fake eyelashes. And I said, hey, these look awesome. You don't have to do anything. You just have to wear sunblock and you can just go out. I started doing those. And in the bargain, I lost my own eyelashes because obviously they can't handle the pressure of those. So when the lockdown happened, I was like, oh my God, now I can't do this. And I was calling frantically, who has fake eyelashes? I have no eyelashes left. So crazy things like that. So what I have learned is that none of this fake stuff in your life matters. It is the real thing, which is real relationships, Vinish. So we have to focus on that. So allow us to meet each other also while I'm out.
And Archana, the question is for the three of you. One was for Shalini and Gulraj and you. Happiness, food, business, food, lifestyle for each of you.
Sure. I realize that just do everything better than do everything the best you can. Which is I learned really in this lockdown time because and that's what I've been advising a lot of my clients as well, that when this whole thing lifts up, and in the post-corona age, it will be the survival of the fittest, it will be the strong who survive and the most adaptable. But if you are better than others in every little thing, that'll really add up. And I remember years ago, I didn't want to be a business person. My father was pushing me. He said, what is this whole psychology thing about? Why do you want to be a psychologist? I said, no, all the good businesses have been done. And then he sent me to over to an uncle of mine who's like the most amazing business person. And he said, isko kuch samjhao. And they drummed up some fake computer problem. And I was the techie who went to solve it. And I realized, uncle, you're just lying. This was a made up problem. And then I said, why am I really here? And he said, I have to talk to you. Why don't you want to get into business? And I said, all the good businesses have been done. And he reaches back and he puts his yellow pages in front of me and he said, koi bhi business kholo and I'll tell you why another entrant will make a good amount of money in it. And incidentally, it opened up to restaurants. Why? Because he was a foodie. He loved restaurants. So he said, we are in the city of Richmond. So this was back in Canada. And Richmond had a very high density of Chinese people. He said, my Richmond share, where there's more Chinese restaurants than people, I'm going to open a Chinese restaurant and I'll tell you how it'll make money. I said, impossible. He said, why not? And he said, where is your father and my favorite restaurant? He said, I said, well, uncle, it's Hong's Palace. You guys love Hong's Palace. He said, one day we were standing at the lineup of Hong's Palace, at Ho's Palace across the street. And we saw this new restaurant open, Hong's Palace, and we said, line mein kya khade ho na, let's just go over there. And we went to that new restaurant. And he said, when we got outside, we realized that even from the outside, the whole experience was really good. The parking was nicer, the restaurant was new, everything was nice. But when they got inside, they realized, ye to wo Punjabiyon wali baat hui ki it was two brothers, they had a fight and one of them opened a restaurant right across the street from him and said, main tumhe dikhata hu. And then he said the menus were better, the prices were lower, the selection was better, the bathrooms were cleaner. And this went on for 2-3 years until that first Ho's Palace went out of business. So if ever you do anything, just make sure you do it a little bit better than your competitor, and not just one thing, but if you do every single thing a little bit better than your competition, there is no way the market will not answer your call and all the business will come to you. But right now, your competitor is you. You are your biggest competitor. You are the one who you have to fight against. Plan who you're going to be 10 years from now, like Matthew McConaughey said in his Oscar speech. He said, plan what you're going to be in 10 years from now and do it in 2. And then you're going to say, you know what, I didn't even think it was possible. And those salo maybe will have transformed as much as we would have transformed in a whole generation. I think that's the opportunity. And that's what will make me really happy if I am able to do that, if everybody can do that. So.
Thank you very much, Gulraj. Sorry, Shals, you were saying something?
That crisis should be taken as an opportunity. So well said.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Shals. We've just about shot our time, shot up by a minute though. But I wish you all the best for your book. It's been a very, very interesting, educating session for me, for everybody, I'm sure. Thank you, everyone, for your patience and time. And we'll see you again.
Yeah, thank you all.
Again on Wednesday now, sorry. Vipinji?
No, I was just saying thank you very much. Interesting, inspiring, and adaptability is a very key thing.
Very nice.
So see you all on Wednesday, 5 p.m. And we have Ranjan Pal, who is an adventurer, both in his personal and professional life. He'll share some of his unique travel experiences with us. Goodbye and good evening.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye.